Hello there, Eagles fans. Welcome back to Philly Eagles Therapy. I'm Basil,
And I'm Baz.
and we are recording Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Dad, been a little bit since we last recorded. A lot's happened. The trade deadline, the bye, coming back from the bye week, a lot of stuff that occurred around the NFL. How you feeling about it all?
Pretty good. We're looking forward to this weekend's games because we won't have to stress out until Monday when we're on prime time.
Yep.
Maybe on antenna. I don't know. We'll see. YouTube
Yeah,
TV
that's
in trouble.
gosh. Yeah, that's a little frustrating, definitely. I mean, we'll see what happens there, but yeah, that's been frustrating. Yeah, Dad, coming back from the bye week, exciting to get back into football. The bye week is never too much fun because it's just like, man, yeah, you got to sit through it and you got to watch other teams and you got to root for this team and root against that team. And you're like, man, I just want my team. You know what I mean? So, yeah, great
Well, we
feeling to
had
get
the
our team.
we had the best bye week in history, so
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic, which we'll get into in a second before we get into the
you got
matchups.
it.
But big game coming up this week, playing against the Packers on Monday night, like you mentioned, prime time. Playing them for the third time in 2 years. Played them twice last year to start the season and then to end their season. So a little bit of a revenge factor for the Packers sideline.
Yes, it is, and it's going to be in their house where it's going to be nice and chilly. So we'll
Yes,
see what
yeah,
happens.
that's for sure. Well, let's get into some thoughts about the bye week. Before we do that, though, Dad, we want to. It'd be wrong of me to not start this podcast without mentioning the tragic event that happened with today. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon, just passing away. I don't know how to really phrase it, but losing him at this point and just really it took the world by storm, the world of sports by storm. I mean, I didn't believe it. You talked about it, you didn't believe it when you saw it. I'm reading it and I'm like, no, he's 24 years old, he's the guy that just scored a touchdown. Like
Right,
they're saying this wrong. It's got to be I thought maybe he was a former player, and I'm like,
right.
so who was it? And I'm like, no, it's not him.
Yeah.
No. And I'm scrolling through it and everywhere I see it's him. And I'm just like, oh my God, like 24 years old. Just tragic events. It's just terrible, terrible what happened. And,
Yeah,
you know,
we all have our fans. We're fans of our teams. We hate some other teams, but when something like that happens, I think everyone comes together as far as
yeah,
fans of the NFL, and it's a terrible situation.
just yes. And that's all you can say. It's just terrible. I can't, it's really hard to put words into what it was because it's just so tragic. It's just awful. But we do want to
Terrible.
send our thoughts and our prayers to the Dallas Cowboys community and definitely his family and friends and just hey, just the whole sports world in this moment kind of, you like you said, it's good to see this, come together in these moments. It's just so awful.
Yeah,
It's just, I don't like to I try not to get emotional. It was just so tragic. I mean, 24 years old, just starting his career. It just really, really, we're very sorry for everyone who was affected by this loss and just, it's just awful, very awful.
big gut punch.
Yeah. All right. Try to jump off of that. Let's try to turn the podcast around. Let's talk about the bye week. Dad, Eagles had a huge bye week. The Packers lost, the Lions lost, the Cowboys lost, the Chiefs lost. Now, you could throw in the Commanders and the Giants also losing, but in reality, I kind of was cheering for them to win because they were playing against some other top NFC teams that I would have liked to see knocked down. But,
Right.
Packers lose to the Panthers in really horrible fashion at
Yeah.
home. The Lions lose to the Vikings. Those are both huge for seeding purposes. And
Yeah.
then the Cowboys losing and the Commanders and Giants, of course, losing helps us, hopefully clinch the division a lot earlier. And then the Chiefs losing is just a great thing to watch every time it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. It's funny. We watched that game. We watched all the games, of course, but the Bills game, they had all the offense, they had all the plays, and it still came down to a 7 point game, which to me, I kept saying when we're watching the game, I can't believe they're still in this game, but you got to know
Yeah,
how to put a team away, and they didn't.
yeah. No, it was an incredible game, and a lot of games were. I mean, there were some really good games out there that happened that week, especially in the week that I kind of was thinking wasn't many great games. It was good to
Yeah, it's
see a lot.
true.
It was good to see some good ones out there, and it was
Yeah.
definitely good to see the Packers, the Lions lose again. Hoped the Seahawks and Niners would to knock them down a bit, and the Buccaneers were on the bye week, so that wasn't going to happen. But still, really good bye week for the division purposes, and seeding helps out a lot as well, especially because those two teams that lost, we play them the next 2 weeks as we talk
That's
about.
right. That's right. Hopefully they're on a down. Hopefully they're questioning themselves and they're unsure of what to do. So that's what we're hoping for.
That'd be fantastic. I got to see the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Cardinals in Jerry World, which was great. To a backup quarterback, great thing to see there.
Yeah, there's a big quarterback controversy there now. They put
Yeah,
Kyler on the IR now, and all of a sudden
I
Brissett's
know.
going to be this, and it looks like he may not ever play there again. So, uh,
Yeah,
kind of a weird topsy-turvy thing there.
definitely. Dan, let's talk about some of the trades that happened. So when we last recorded, we'd already talked about Michael Carter, but we'll still mention it here. The big names of the trades happening for us: Jaelen Phillips, we got from the Miami Dolphins for a third round pick. Jair Alexander, we got him in a pick swap for a 6 and 7, and then the Michael Carter one. Dad, pretty big moves around here. Michael Carter. We talked about when that happened. We kind of thought like, oh wow, that's probably the big move. And then the Jair Alexander one happened. You're like, oh, that's the big move. And then Phillips
Right.
happens, and that was huge. That was the best edge rusher really available if you think about it.
Yeah, it's funny because we got two DBs. The first one was kind of a not really an outside corner type player. And we went,
Yeah,
well, depth is good. And then
yeah,
when they got Jair, hopefully he comes with a little chip on his shoulder from kind of being embarrassed there in Baltimore where he really didn't get to play much. And he had said he's feeling a lot better. He's had some injuries. So hopefully he can work them out. And then, of course, the big one really was getting the defensive end. We
huge.
needed it. It's great for rotation. It's great for some of the other guys that are coming back. They're not going to have to play 70% of the snaps. It's going to be a nice rotation there, and hopefully Uche and Hunt can do the bulk of it, but then let the rest of the guys in there and let's see how they play.
Yeah, and the great thing about mentioning those guys coming back from injury, the great thing about the great thing about the trade deadline being where it was or where our bye week was with the trade deadline is that you're getting these three guys, but you're also getting Jacorian Bennett's coming back from IR,
Right.
BG's coming onto the team, Nolan Smith's coming back from IR. I mean, you're looking at this like, oh my gosh, like you're getting full artillery here. Heading coming out of the bye week to one of the harder stretches of the season.
And it's all, they had time to kind of see what the role's going to be and watch some
Yes.
tape and, in a they weren't thrown into it 2 days later. Now they've had some time to get it. I'm sure Phillips is chomping at the bit to get out there and, not have to go against Mulata again. So I'm sure he's
Yeah.
pretty happy about that.
The nice thing for this is like that type of full week of practice. We trade for them before during last week, and now they get to be with us this entire week, and that's
Right.
huge. Going into a game when it's not midweek acquisition, you're like, okay, they could play 10 snaps or something like that,
Right.
but this is a full week that they kind of get to jump in. They almost are full participants for that game, and yeah, we'll see how their roles are. I mean, Jaelen Phillips kind of feels like he jumps to your number one, number two edge rusher, and
Right.
then you will see how they kind of finagle things with the Jair Alexander as the outside guy and Michael Carter as the inside guy, but you got Cooper DeJean inside, But I
Right.
think the thing about this though is, however you look at it, your fourth, fifth, and sixth, whatever cornerbacks all got better. Like just by that sense, like
Right.
okay, now this guy's our third corner, that's better than it was before, and this guy's our fourth corner, that's better than it was before.
I
That's
agree.
the
Yes.
depth that you mentioned. Even if they're not starting right away, this is better than we had before. That's for sure.
And they're coming to a winning situation with a lot of positivity. They're leaving some
Oh yeah,
programs that, not Zaire, but the other two are coming from programs that were pretty much washed for the year, that type thing. So it's good that, they're going to be able to come in and go full board. The only big thing about Phillips is he's not going to have a bye week this year. So they may work him in slowly. He's been playing, I think, 73% of the snaps down there. So at least he'll not have to play as much. And hopefully he looks great. And then we want him to play a lot.
yeah, that's for sure. Dad, you want to get into the matchups?
Certainly, let's do it.
Let's get it going here. I guess we could mention some injuries. Cam Jurgens, really the only big name on the injury report as it did not participate. Everybody else was full or limited. We mentioned guys coming back from IR, Nolan Smith, Jacorian Bennett. We just activated Willie Lampkin's practice window, which will be interesting to see as far as the guard position goes. Kind of a guard center. That's the guy I talk about, the 5'10", 5'11" guard that I love.
Right. Oh yeah. And he's a good player. That's what they've all been saying. So hopefully maybe gets a chance if there's a possibility that things go well our way and we can work in some of them linemen to get some more, reps, if you will.
Yeah. And then the big thing to mention for the Packers, unfortunately, you got to add this in here. I don't know if we talked about it last week. Tucker Kraft out for the season, man. That is a huge blow for them. I mean, he was their leading receiver in yards and I believe receptions. No, not receptions. He didn't have the most receptions, but led them in yards, led them in touchdowns. And he was also a phenomenal blocker. Before this, going into this week, he kind of might have been the best tight end of the season. I mean, he might
I
have been the
think
best
so.
tight end playing this season. And you hate to see this happen because he's a great player. And
Right.
I told you I'd be like, oh man, I told you before you really knew who he was. I was like, oh, this guy's really good. And then he had two huge plays after I said that. And I'm like, dude,
Right.
this guy's great.
Yeah.
And then the next week he gets hurt, and it's like, God, like that's just brutal. And that's football. And it's a
It is.
huge blow to the Packers, and it's I don't like to say it this negatively, but it's a huge plus for us.
Right.
Um, one less guy you got to worry about on the field. One of their best players on offense
But he was more than a tight end. He just seemed like he was almost like a wide receiver type player because
who
man, he
could
would make
block.
a
Yeah,
lot of catches, a lot of always a lot of yak, to the yards after catch
yeah,
type player because he would get maybe two or three catches and have 60, 70, 80 yards. So yeah, it's going to be and it's kind of Love's go-to guy, kind of went like Wentz used to go to Ertz all the time whenever things broke down. He
yeah,
always had that player to throw it to, and now they're going to be relying on Musgrave, who's not a bad player either, but the
yeah,
fact that Kraft is
yeah,
was his guy. That's going to be you got some pressure on him. I think there's going to be some opportunities for us.
yeah. Big wide receiver names after him. Just we'll jump into the matchups. Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, of course, who was their first round pick. Dobbs has over 440 yards in the season with 4 touchdowns. Golden, no touchdowns, but we know he's a deep type of threat, 262 yards. And they got back Christian Watson. And this is a big deal. They got Christian Watson, who in his I think he's played 2 games now, 6 catches, 143 yards, 71 yards per game, and 23.8 yards per catch.
Yeah, well, he had a big one last week. It was
Yeah,
I don't know, a 40 or 50 yarder, and he's just the guy can catch the ball. I mean, he's got great hands, and the catch he made was a huge play for them. It didn't get them over the hump, but it kept them in that game.
yeah. And the thing about him, we didn't play him last year in that last game of the season. We played him in the first game, I think so, but he tore his ACL in the last game of the season, week 18, and so we didn't play him in that playoff game. And game could have been a lot different. He was playing. We don't know. You never know what happens, but he's back and he's healthy and he's looking really good. And he's a good player on the outside, and he
Yeah.
can go deep and he can go fast.
Yeah, and the thing about Love, he gets hot. He's throwing zingers out there. So, again, that's one of the things we're going to have to watch for. But the fact that they got couple speed receivers because Watson's definitely a speed receiver too. So, don't let anybody get behind you.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jordan Love since you mentioned him. Jordan Love having a good, not great season. He's it's not like he's a disappointment or anything like that, but I think everyone would kind of agree that he hasn't taken the step that they really wanted him to. And,
Right.
and again, I don't think he's been bad, but I just don't think he's been what they kind of expected from him. 70% completion rating, that's nothing to bat an eye at. And 2,071 yards, that's 258 a game, 13 touchdowns, only 3 picks. But he's been good, but he's also had those picks have come at really bad times.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, he threw one in the end zone last week that should have been a pick, and the guy dropped it right through his
That was
gut. And
horrible.
you kind of look at it and you're like, well, how do you drop that? But but every quarterback has that. You get that
Yeah,
lucky drop and doesn't count as an INT, so you just keep going on. But yeah, I don't think he's been where they were ranking him early in the season. Oh, top five, top 10. A lot of press about him, and it's a good thing for our team this week that he's kind of struggling a little bit. So
yeah.
hopefully it continues. But yeah, he looked pretty good last week. But like you say, he does make those occasional bad throws. He was throwing some in the dirt last week as well. But it's again like every quarterback, you got to pressure him. Hopefully we can pressure him.
Yeah, he had another one of those deep passes last week. The one you said the end zone, but he also had a deep pass where it was like, what are you doing? He's falling down. He's running backwards. It's like
Right.
it was first down. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
So, he does do that. I think he's still a really good player. Doesn't turn the ball over much. Like I say, he's got 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. He had 3 interceptions in one game against us last year in the playoff game. That was
Right.
Quinion Mitchell's first pick, and Slay had a pick, and Zach Bond had a pick.
Yeah.
So,
Those
you
four
hope you
half.
get those going again, but that has not been his MO this season. He is not turning the ball over. And the team isn't really. They only have a total of 5 turnovers. They're one of the best. I think they're the second best turnover team to us. So not a lot of
Okay.
turnovers you would expect to see. Hopefully we win the turnover battle, because that'll be a big part of this game for two teams who don't turn the ball over much.
There you go. It's gonna be a pretty good game, I think. It's gonna be, like you say, the weather. We were talking about the weather. It's going to be pretty cold there. 37 for a high, 25 for a low. So we're going to be talking about a game in the high 20s, 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, and they were talking some snow, but you never know. That could just pop in out of anywhere, come off the lakes or something. So we'll see. But it's just going to be one of the first cold games of the season for us.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should mention, yeah, you said the weather report. Sorry about that. We
It's okay.
mentioned the revenge game aspect of it being in Lambeau. And then I should throw in the all-time record. Packers lead 28-20 all time. We lead in the playoffs 3-1. So
Nice.
of course, we won our 1960 NFL championship against them. The only
Right.
loss that Lombardi ever was it Lombardi, right? Yeah,
Yes, in
that
the
Lombardi,
playoffs.
yeah, ever experienced in the playoffs. His only loss was to the Eagles in 1960, and then we went on to beat them in last year in the playoffs. And I can't remember the other one. Do you remember what it is?
Oh boy.
The
No, I
other time we
don't.
beat them? No, I have one other time that
No.
we beat them. I should have had it pulled up. I apologize.
It's got to be in the last 15 years.
Am I thinking it? I'm thinking it might have been in the 70s for some reason. No, no, it was 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
In
we weren't in the
2003,
playoffs.
yeah, no.
The
Yeah, right,
70s we
right.
weren't in the playoffs much.
2003 NFC divisional playoff game. We beat them in overtime, 20-17. See if I can find the highlights on that one.
Oh, I remember that one. That was the one that Favre threw that awful interception to deep
Oh, of
Brian
course. Of
Dawkins, and then we
course.
got the field goal late.
Yeah, that's fourth
Yeah.
and 26.
Yes, it was.
Of course. I'm
That
sorry.
was
That
the
was,
game.
yeah.
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 And then, of course, the one loss we know about that one. That was when the year that they won the Super Bowl with Rodgers. They
Yeah,
beat us at
2010.
home. Yeah.
2010, the Riley Cooper in the corner. Yeah, it was awful.
Yes. Michael Vick.
One other matchup I wanted to mention for the defense. We talked about their pass catchers. No one's really an elite pass catcher, but Romeo Dobbs has been good this year, 440 yards. But people have always kind of explained their wide receivers as kind of like it's a bunch of really good threes and maybe twos, where none of them are like a number one, none of them are
Right.
like a Pro Bowl All Pro, but it's a lot of two slash really good threes. Where if you
Yeah.
had him on your team and he was your third wide receiver, you'd go, "Oh my God, our third wide receiver is great." But
Right.
with them, it's kind of like, who takes that step? Watson's been the guy they've been pushing for. Obviously, this season they've missed. Oh my goodness, help me out with his name. Jaden Reed, he got hurt in the first game. He's kind
Right.
of their best wide receiver on the team, and he's I believe he's still gonna be out because of his shoulder injury.
Collarbone,
He
or did he break
broke
a collarbone?
collarbone. That's
Yeah,
right. He broke
I
his
remember that
collarbone.
game. Yeah. Yeah.
But the last matchup I want to speak about was the all O line for the Packers, especially with this enhanced pass rushing group. So you really hope that, Jalen Carter, he's played better and he's gotten healthier. You hope that he kind of continues to take the next step as good as he was last season. And then, of
Yes.
course, you get Jaelen Phillips and everything. And they got a solid offensive line. It's not a great O line. As far as running, they've struggled on the run game with Josh Jacobs only averaging 3.8 per carry. They've struggled as a rushing offensive line. But as far as pass protection, Love's only been sacked 11 times. And to put that in perspective, Hurts has been sacked 25 times.
Wow.
So, and I would assume that Love's dropped back a lot more.
Yeah, I mean they are a run first team though. They do definitely try to establish the run,
Yeah.
and they don't go away from it. Like you say, even though Jacobs is not having a fantastic season, they definitely like to run him. So I mean that's something we can't overlook in this game. We got to keep them from running the ball and just trying to keep Love back there, throwing it like 30, 40 times like he did in the playoff game last year.
Yeah, Love's attempted 250 passes. Hurts has attempted 215. They got 141 attempts for Josh Jacobs, and Barkley's got 127. So they seem to just have a lot more plays than us so far.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, but they are balanced. You can see it's not,
Yeah.
2-1, if you will, something like
Yeah.
that.
Let's talk about the offensive matchups for us looking to get across the line at their defense. I kind of wanted to save this one for last, and we usually do it first. But I want to say this one for last so we can spend a little bit extra time talking about what might be the best pass rush duo in the NFL. Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. Micah Parsons, a guy who we've grown a little bit familiar with, right, Dad?
We know him well. We followed him in college. We didn't like to see where he went. We were hoping to get him, but you knew that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, he is everything that they say he is. He might have had a little slow start when he first got there. Wasn't playing as much the first few games, but now, I mean, he's just a beast. He can
Yep.
he can get you 3 sacks in
Out
a
of nowhere.
quarter. He's
Yep.
in a quarter. Yeah, he's that good.
Yeah. So you got Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson, thankfully one of the best offensive tackle duos in the league, lining up against Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary leading them in sacks. He's fifth in the NFL with 7.5, and
That's a
Micah
lot.
is 10th in the NFL with 6.5. And you have to wonder. I mean, Rashawn Gary is a great player in himself. I don't want to take it away from him, but you have to imagine the reason he has more sacks is because the other guy is Micah Parsons.
Hey, that's where our Jalen Carter comes in, where he's not getting his double teamed as much this year because I think he had kind of a slow start. But who knows? After this bye week, he might be feeling it, buddy, and he might be pushing those guys all over the place and open things up for our other D tackle, Davis and Ojomo, whoever else they got out there.
The other thing, you got to remember, there's a reason that we had 6 sacks in the Super Bowl and none of them were by Jalen Carter. That
That's right.
there's a reason why everyone else was able to get there and he wasn't. There's
He commands that
something
much
to that.
respect. He did get a sack last week, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks ago. So that was good for him to come on. Did he get one? I know he's
He had
got
the
one this
pre
year.
well, he had the pressure on Wentz that forced the pick six by Jalen Hunt. But you're right.
Yes.
I believe
Yeah.
Carter did. Yeah, Carter did have his last. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. You're right. I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
the Giants game. I'm thinking the
Giants game. Yeah.
Vikings game.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
So yeah,
Giants.
yeah, correct. Yeah, the Vikings game he had the pressure, forced the pick six, and then the Giants game he had a sack. So yeah, no, he was playing better, and now he has the extra rest. You really hope that this is kind of gonna push him, further, get away from his injuries. He was dealing the shoulder, the heel, and
Yes.
bring him into that. But yes, we're
So
supposed to be
and
on offense. We're supposed to be on
yeah.
offense.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, sorry.
You get us back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
I
my
always
lot and
take us
Lane
off track.
versus Parsons and Gary. That's what you do. Good secondary for the Vikings. I'm sorry, for the Vikings, for the Packers, led by Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney, 3 picks against Jalen Hurts in his career, so that's not something you're excited to look at.
Right.
They've also got some good cornerbacks out there with the. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, I had it right here. There we go. Cassian Nixon, and then Javon Bullard, who's one of the better nickels in the NFL. So, really good secondary out there, really good defense all around. Now, last week they lose, but they only let up 16 points. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the type of defense they've been. Now, there was the big one where they tied with the Cowboys, letting up 40 points, which was massive. But aside from that, every time the 2 games they've lost, they lost to the Browns, they lost to the Panthers, and both of those, I think they only let up 16 and 13
Right.
points, I believe.
Yeah. Low
So, I
scoring
mean,
games.
exactly. They don't really often let up many points.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that we're hoping to get back on track and continue what happened the last few games before our break, where the offense seemed to be clicking.
Yep. And then to go to the middle of their defense, Quay Walker, one of the better linebackers in the league. He's been really good. They've also got Edgerrin Cooper. He's been good. He's been injured a little bit. Questionable right now is listed, but he is a really good player as well. And good linebacker duo there, one of the better in the league compared as well as ours. But we got a little bit of linebacker trio there, which is a little bit strange, but we'll see how that kind of works out as well.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing I think to look for this weekend is who's on the field. It's so hard to watch and see. The camera's not doesn't give you that full length version, but who is that? Who's out there? Is Jihad out there? Is N'Kobe playing more? It's going to be fun to watch that this weekend because just you're seeing a new reshaping of the defense as well as they know who the regulars are, but how they work it out. It's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. It's funny how the defense can be like that. It feels like right now, we can't we don't have enough corners. Who can we get on the field, a cornerback? But now on the linebackers, it's like there's too many good ones. What do we do? And
Right.
then defensive line with Jaelen Phillips and Smith coming back and BG here, you're like, oh my gosh, like now there's too many good guys. How do we get them all on the field? Like, how do we split the time to get the best version of each player? And that's
Right.
going to
Well,
be the
hope
big struggle for Vic Fangio this week is figuring out what
right.
is our best combinations at every single position.
Well, I'm definitely looking for a pretty good rotation early where you're going to see a lot of fresh bodies and then
Definitely.
see who's the hot hand, who's making the plays. Hunt,
Yes.
he seems to be heating up. He has the last few weeks. And Uche, he was playing great too. So hopefully that doesn't stunt any of that, but hopefully that they'll be able to work these other guys in and just go seamlessly into it.
Yeah. Dad, do you have a player to watch for the week?
Yeah, I do. And I think I told you it's going to be Tank Bigsby. I know he's not a starter, but he's the guy I'm looking to see come in and spell Barkley here and there. And hopefully they can work him in the field, maybe get him on the field more than, and maybe in the flat or something because he's got good hands. And it's just going to be interesting to watch because the way Barkley's kind of heated up the last 2 weeks ago. And the offensive line was kind of getting together and hopefully with some rest, they're even better. But yeah, I'm going to be watching Tank. Hopefully, he can spell Barkley and get maybe eight or 10 carries and continue what he did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm kind of cheating on this right now. I just don't have a guy. I'm looking through the roster. I wasn't prepared. I was the opposite of I was the opposite of me usually. I'm struggling. I might have to cheat, and I didn't want to do this, but I might have to just go with the new guy, Jaelen Phillips. I mean, I feel like I got to
Definitely.
choose. I mean, I'm excited to see what he brings. Obviously, we'll see kind of what the pitch count is, how many snaps he'll play. But I think I think he's going to be a big impact right away. Wearing number 50 out there, it's a good number for an edge. I like that number,
Right.
and we'll see what he does. But I'm really excited for him to be on the team.
So, what number is Jair Alexander? I didn't see that.
Terrible. He's number 18. It's
18.
awful. It's a
Okay.
terrible cornerback number. That should not be allowed.
I
It's
know.
illegal. It's illegal. You can't
Well,
do that. Well, and I'm confused because I guess so. Number 23 is taken by Jacorian Bennett, but that was his number before. But I just it can't. It cannot. It's not allowed.
well, it is. So
Is
I
anyone
just want to
22?
I just want to be
Yeah.
able to look to see if he's on the field, so because that's
So
so hard when you're in the thick of the game, to actually be following who's in the field and who's making that play. I mean, when they make the play, you see it, but who is covering that guy over there to make the play over here. So
yeah.
number 18.
Yeah. If he could be like I mean, I do expect AJ Dillon to be cut pretty soon to make room for some roster spots, in which way I would expect Jair Alexander to maybe move to number 29. But
Okay.
he cannot be any of these. You cannot be 18. That is awful.
Well,
The thing is, 21's taken 22, 23, 24. No one can wear shady because they retired the number.
right.
26 is Saquon, 27 Quinion, 28 Shipley,
Shipley.
20, 29's Dillon, and that's probably going to be where he has to go.
Right.
You can't wear 20. Can you wear 30? Jahad Campbell, nope,
Right.
31.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be
He's
hard.
got to find a number there because that disgusting. It's just that 18 cannot be on the defense. That is awful. All right, special teams. Let's talk about some special teams. um,
Okay.
their kicker has struggled this year. I couldn't remember his name. I'm sorry, I had it pulled up here. Don't they have? It's a big name. Yeah, McManus, of course. Struggled this year. 16 field goals attempted, only 11 made. He's missed an extra point. He's missed 5 field goals, long of 56. So he struggled a little bit here. They do have. Let me see. They have some pretty good punt returners, or no? I don't have it listed on here, but or punt returners or kick returners. But no, their kicker has definitely struggled. So that'll be something to watch in the weather. Our kicker has been good. He did miss that 58-yarder last week, which you kind of try to give grace. But the other problem is nowadays it almost seems like that's automatic. So you kind of have to might start looking for a guy who can do that.
Well, they had a couple field goals missed tonight. So 59 yarder and that one Carlson missed was not that long, maybe in the 40s. So
Yeah. So Elliott's missed 2 field goals now with a long of 58 and a 25 for 25 on extra points.
we'll take that. Because
So what was
we
his
used
other?
to we used to struggle with that in his early days, and now he seemed to figure that out.
No,
So
definitely, definitely.
I still hold my breath on the extra points.
Yeah.
So at least I
Dad, you
don't
got
have
a
to lead.
score?
I don't have to leave the
Yeah,
room at least.
I
So
know. Dad, do you have a score prediction?
yeah, my prediction is going to be 30-17. I think we're going to
Whoa,
win the game. And I think we're going to run all over them. That's just my feeling.
that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think we can run on him pretty good?
I think so. Micah, he's a great, uh,
Yep,
blitzer and sacker, but he can struggle in the run game. And if we can open him
yep.
up in the middle and our offensive line is pushing like I expect him to be healthy, I think they're going to do. I think I do. I know Dickerson's had a few weeks off now. The other tackles, they have not been hurt with any injuries so far. So I mean, I just think the 2 weeks off is going to be perfect. They even got to rest a little bit in the last game, so I think it's going to be perfect. And Barkley,
So,
again, he's rested as well. So, I mean, I think we're going to be able to move some balls on him.
yeah. So they're the fifth best defense total yards. They're fifth against the run. So it's a tall order. They only allow 89 yards rushing per game. So, it's a tall order. It's a tough one to see. We'll see what goes on there. But I like the prediction. I've got a score of 27-21. I think the cold is gonna be a little bit tough. I did say to Ben, I think I said to you, I do like that this game's in Lambeau and the next game against the Lions is in Philly. I'd
Yes,
kind of rather it be that way. I'd rather play Lions outside than in their dome. So
I agree.
I am happy that this one's outside. But it's so funny how this works because it says Green Bay, their fifth best defense. They only allow 302 yards per game, and that says Eagles. They're the 25th best offense with only getting 321 yards per game. And you're like, well, wait, that doesn't that doesn't really match up very well. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like doesn't
That is,
doesn't really
yeah.
make sense. So yeah, we'll see what goes on. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a nail biter here and there. I do think this is a game, though, even though I have a close prediction score, I do think we're going to lead the whole game. Now,
Okay.
maybe if they win the kickoff and they kick a field goal first, okay, I'm wrong. I get it. But I think for the
Right.
most part, I do think it's going to be, three. If it's 3-0, we go up 7-3, and then we go up 10-3. And then I think we do kind of have the score lead for the majority of the game.
Now, that would be the way I'd like to see it. So we'll see if that happens. But hopefully, like you say, we're going to be able to move the ball. That's just my feeling. AJ's back now. Let's see how that affects the offense because the last game when he was not in, we were throwing the ball all over the place and running the ball all over the place. So hopefully there's no hindrance there, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah. And tell me, Dad, I was pretty shocked when I saw the line. It moved. It's only favored. They're only favored by 1.5 now. But I was kind of surprised that they were favored at all. Um, I really just thought after the loss to the Panthers and then the Tucker Craft injury, I was just kind of like, nah, I just don't think. I just don't know why they're favored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I know we're
Well,
not Vegas guys, but I just don't see that.
yeah, well, I knew when I saw -2.5 that it was going to change because I know a lot of money was going to come on the Eagles because that's just the way it works. I mean, everyone else is seeing the same thing we are. Everyone else saw that last game they played. They also played that game at home. The home crowd did not help them. Carolina does have a defense, but it's very leaky. But they just made the right plays and they put them away. I mean, they did not move the ball at all early. They only scored a touchdown late in the fourth quarter to make it 10 or whatever was the final. They only had like 7 points, 6 points going into halftime, I believe.
That's true. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Let
So, I
me
mean, they just, even, and
double
this is
check that.
against Carolina, who, the young quarterback there. And, I don't know. I
They're
just,
they're better, but they're not great.
but everyone
Yeah,
that's talked about the games this week have said they always tend to play down to their competition and then play up in the big games. Well,
yeah.
so we'll see if that makes any difference. We play the same no matter what, especially when we get going. So
Yeah, that's
we
very
we
true.
really do. I mean, it's
All
just that
righty.
kind
So,
of team we
so
have.
you said 30-17. I took 27-21. All right, we'll see
Yeah,
who's
30 to
closer there.
17.
If you're watching on YouTube, please drop a comment down below to tell us what your score prediction is. Dad, let's take up this last few minutes and talk about some of the other games. Usually, I only try to choose three. Couldn't even find five to talk about. Or usually, I try to choose five. I chose three because this is a horrible slate this weekend. I said it last week, so maybe things change.
You never
But
know.
uh,
There is an early game. There's an early game.
yeah, there's an early game. I'm probably gonna keep sleeping through. It's the Falcons and the
Uh,
Colts. I
right.
moving past that. The first early game, the 11 o'clocks that I'm talking about, the Patriots and Buccaneers, that's a good one. 7-2 versus 6-2. I think it's the best game of the week besides ours.
Right. Well, you can see if Drake May continues his MVP or his
Yeah,
big run because he's played really well. So that's going to be something to watch. We'll see what happens there. But to me, that's you could say one of the better games that's on. But some of those earlier ones,
bad. The afternoon game, that's pretty good. Rams Niners. The first time they played, it was a 23-20, and the Niners walked away with a win after without Purdy, without Kittle, and without all that sort of stuff. They still have Mac Jones playing. He's been playing well, 10 picks to 5 interceptions. That's not terrible. He hasn't been awful. So we'll see if that can be a good game now that it's in San Francisco. And the Rams, who are the best team in the world, kind of going on the road to play against them.
yeah, that'll be interesting to see. A division game, of course. To me, the Niners have been an anomaly. Just the fact that Mac Jones, some of those games we watched, he was just getting hammered. But boy, he's a tough guy, and he just stayed in the pocket and played well. The Rams have that great defensive line, and they have great receivers, so it could be a shootout, but we'll see. And McCaffrey has come on; he's been playing a lot better. So, I mean, it could be an interesting game if they can run the ball on him.
Yeah. This wasn't the game I chose, but I feel like I got to mention it. The Lions are going to take on the Commanders. I just not to talk about the game, just to mention the unfortunate injury that Jaden Daniels suffered against the Seattle Seahawks last week. Just brutal to watch. It just remind you the Cam Scadaboo one where you're just like,
Right.
it's just a young player who was taking the world by storm, and we were happy to beat them in the playoffs last year, but we kind of were
Yep.
always upset that we're gonna have to deal with Jaden Daniels for the next 10 years, and it's
Right.
just not looking that way right now, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really awful to see when it just sucks. And when injuries, I
Well,
mean, we saw that with our quarterback back in
yeah.
the day with Wentz. I mean, you
It'll
saw
be
injuries just ruin a player, and
that game
it's
will
just
be interesting
awful.
to see. It'll be interesting to see how much fire the 49ers, have and the Commanders have, I'm sorry, when they come on the field because for all intents and purposes their season could be over at 3-6 and now they're back up QB with, Mariota. I mean, to me
Yeah,
it's just going to be see how much fire they got. If they come out fighting, you never know, but they're playing the Lions
yeah.
who kind of had a setback last week as well. So could be
Um,
a good game. Could be a good
the,
game.
yeah. The last game I chose is just out of necessity because I needed another game. It could be good. It's the Steelers taking on the Chargers. It depends on how things go. The Chargers lost, before the season, Rashawn Slater, one of the best tackles in the league, and they recently lost Joe Alt, who was coming on as one of the better tackles in the league.
Yep.
And I think they lost their third tackle. It just, if the Steelers defense plays anything like last week against the
Wow.
Colts, I
Yeah.
mean, the Chargers, Justin Herbert is going to be running for his life all
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. They definitely had a great resurgence last weekend. They looked fantastic. And, if they can keep it up, we'll see. And Rodgers had been playing well. I didn't think he would, but
Yep.
he's been playing well. So
And he's been playing, like you said, you're right. It's not great. It's not bad. It's 68% completion, 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks. I mean, that's kind of only 15 sacks, which is huge, and no fumbles, no lost fumbles or anything. So, yeah, he's
yeah,
playing kind of just the way he needs to if the defense is going to be as good as last week.
right. For sure. They looked great last week. It was pretty amazing. Actually, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Dad, you got anything else to say about the Eagles or about football?
Not really. No, I don't.
All righty, let's say our goodbyes. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok if you like Philly Eagles Therapy. Do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment down below your prediction for the game, how you're feeling about it, how you're feeling the season's going. Number one seed, man, it's in our reach.
Keep it up.
You can email us any questions at PhillyEaglesTherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Philly Eagles Therapy, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.